Now, as the world watches the political landscape of Southern Africa with bated breath, a startling rumor has emerged. Former Zambian President Edgar Lungu, who reportedly passed away last Thursday, might not be laid to rest in his homeland, but could instead find his resting place in the nation of Zimbabwe. What is this possible? How is this possible? Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Former Zambian President Edgar Lungu, who reportedly passed away last Thursday, might not be laid to rest in his homeland, but could instead find his final resting place in Zimbabwe. This speculation, fueled by the ongoing chaos surrounding his funeral in the web of conspiracy theories, raises questions about regional diplomacy, corruption scandals, and even the possibility that Edgar Lungu might not be dead at all. Zimbabwe burial speculation. Where is this idea coming from? The idea that Edgar Lungu might be buried in Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea that Lungu could be buried in the nation of Zimbabwe stems from precedent set by the contentious burial of Zimbabwe's former leader Robert Gabriel Mugabe in 2019. A bitter feud over his resting place, Mugabe was interred in his home village rather than the state-designated Heroes Acre, despite a completed mausoleum. A similar scenario could unfold for Lungu, with sources whispering that Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa, himself a beneficiary of the Zimbabwe 2017 coup, might offer Lungu a symbolic burial site as a gesture of solidarity among Southern African leaders. Zimbabwe National Army recently reshuffled with Lieutenant General Emmanuel Matutu's appointment in March 2025 could provide the logistical support given the military's deep ties to President Emmerson Mnangagwa's regime. This move would align with Southern African development community dynamics, where quiet diplomacy has historically shielded leaders from international scrutiny. However, it would also ignite diplomatic tensions, especially if Zambia's government insists on the state burial protocol as seen in the High Court ruling cited by the Zambian officials in BBC reports from June 11, 2025. Now, South African angle. We're seeing newspapers have published this one. The South African angle, without Ramaphosa's approval, is it possible? Can anyone buy a grave in any country? It's here possible, ladies and gentlemen. and even more or a symbolic cascade might be diverted to South Africa, a regional powerhouse, without the approval of President Cyril Ramaphosa. South Africa's historical role in mediating Zimbabwe's crisis, including its quiet diplomacy towards Mugabe, makes it a plausible transit or burial site. However, bypassing Ramaphosa's administration would require covert coordination, possibly involving rogue elements within the South African National Defence Force or private actors sympathetic to Edgar Lungu's case. Is this possible? Legally, it would violate South African sovereignty and international norms unless orchestrated with extreme secrecy or under the guise of a humanitarian exception. Practically, South Africa's porous borders and history of hosting exiled African leaders during apartheid could facilitate such a move. Yes, yet Ramaphosa's government, already strained by domestic issues and regional instability, would likely view this as an effort potentially leading to a diplomatic fallout. The lack of official confirmation and the absence of a peer-reviewed studies on such scenario leaves this as pure conjecture. But the political stakes made it a tantalizing possibility. The conspiracy is Edgar Lungu dead or fleeing corruption charges? The most explosive theory circulating on platforms like X and hashed conversations is that Lungu might not be dead at all. Instead, his reported death could be a staged event, allowing him to flee corruption charges and have dodged his tenure 2015 to 2021 and intensified since his departure. Zambian authorities have long accused Lungu of misappropriation of funds, with allegations of tender rigging and asset concealment surfacing in local media. A 2024 Transparency International report ranked Zambia 117th out of 180 countries with a score of 33, reflecting persistent corruption concerns that could implicate Lungu. If alive, Lungu might seek refuge in Zimbabwe, where Mnangagwa's government has shielded allies from international prosecution, evidenced by the military's oversight of Marange diamond fields amidst smuggling accusations. The image of Zimbabwean military figures has fueled speculation that generals could be part of a plan to harbor Edgar Lungu. A staged death would require a sophisticated coordination, including falsification of medical records and family complicity, but the lack of a public autopsy or clear images of Lungu's body add credence to this theory amid skeptics. Implications and regional ripples. If Lungu is to be buried in the nation of Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe burial could deepen Nangagwasa alliance with embattled leaders, shaking SADC stability. A clandestine Southern African interment without Ramaphosa's consent might expose regional features, inviting global scrutiny. And if Lungu is alive and on the run, a manhunt could strain Zambia to Zimbabwe ties, challenging African Union's accountability. Now, let us be real, ladies and gentlemen. Let us get real. These claims are downright bonkers. The idea of Lungu's body being whisked off to Zimbabwe or South Africa is a secret plot. Sounds like a spy novel gone rogue. The notion of him faking his death to dodge corruption charges stretches credulity to breaking point, requiring a conspiracy so elaborate it would make Hollywood blush. Without concrete evidence, no autopsy photos, no official statements, these rumors are a fever dream fueled by political paranoia and X-fueled speculation. As the dust settles, this saga might be a wild distraction from the real issues plaguing Southern Africa. Stay tuned, but don't hold your breath for a zombie Lungu to pop up anyway. Yesterday we did saw a video by Zambian President Kaindi Hichilema. Zimbabwe Vice President Chiwenga. Then the same yesterday we would see this.
I find it very difficult to believe that the government will stick to their end of the agreement and have resolved, sadly so, that the mortal remains of President Edgar Lungu will not return home today.
I don't think Lungu is dead. Who saw his body? Yo. It's a tricky situation, ladies and gentlemen.
It is our hope that someday his remains will be repatriated back home and buried. I thank you.
And now we see a message from Zambian President again, speaking on Lungu. Now we're going to dissect this message. It's a direct, indirect message.
As you are all aware, our government has made numerous efforts to engage the family and representatives of the late president in order to reach consensus in this matter. By last Sunday, the 15th of June, a mutual understanding was achieved and expressed through the joint press briefing held in South Africa. This breakthrough brought relief to the nation, and we were prepared to receive the remains of the late 6th Republican president on Wednesday, 18th of June. It was agreed that
we were prepared. We were prepared for. Is different from we had prepared to receive. Said we were prepared to receive, not we were prepared to receive. Different expressions. We were prepared to receive. Rewind it back again. When you say we were prepared to receive and we were prepared to receive, it's different meanings.
And we were prepared to receive the
And we were prepared to receive. And we were prepared to receive
remains of the late 6th Republican president on Wednesday, 18th of June.
Body language, check the head movement, and we were prepared.
It was agreed that this was to be followed by programs that would have culminated in a dignified burial.
It was agreed that, and he says, in a dignified burial. Take note of the word dignified burial. Dignified.
On Monday, the 23rd of June. By virtue of this positive development, we extended the mourning period by
virtue of this positive development, we extended the mourning period
by another 9 days. And we began
another 9 days. The pitching by another 9 days. Pitch when you're speaking. By another 9 days. And let me change the pitch again. And we extended the mourning period by another 9 days. By another 9 days. Adding impact. Extended by another 9 days. Expanded the mourning period by another 9 days. It's different meanings.
To fulfill all of our commitments towards the state funeral with full honors. Yesterday.
Yesterday. Then he repeats, yesterday. And then yesterday, a shocker happened.
Yesterday, June 18th, the people of Zambia were prepared to receive the remains of our government. We extended the mourning period by another 9 days, and we began to fulfill all of our commitments towards the state funeral with full honors. Yesterday, June 18th, the people of Zambia were prepared to receive.
He repeats again, yesterday. Like we had abandoned in everything that we were doing to receive this. So he's disappointed. Of course, anybody can be disappointed. But the message that he's sending to the Lungu family is a strong message. It's a very strong message.
The remains of our former president, but we're surprised by the family's reversal of the agreed course of action. At our request, the South African government prepared extensively with military honors mounted by the South African Defense Force, who did so in vain, as the former president's body was not availed by the family for repatriation to Zambia. For this unfortunate situation, we extend our sincere apologies to President Ramaphosa, the government, and the people of South Africa. Fellow citizens,
fellow citizens, now listen, fellow citizens, we are being used to criticism. Okay, we're not here to play like that the tone he is using to speak.
Our country cannot afford a state of indefinite mourning.
Our country cannot afford a state of indefinite mourning. When does he cancel the mourning? He doesn't cancel it after 2 days or the next day.
We've done everything possible to engage the family of our departed 6th Republican president, and we've reached a point where a clear decision has to be made. Given these circumstances, I therefore wish to inform the nation that as of the end of today, the 19th of June 2025, this particular national mourning period is officially over. This will allow the country to begin to return to some normalcy. Mr. Lungu was not only an ordinary citizen, but our 6th Republican president. While we recognize that he belongs to a family, he also belongs to the nation of Zambia. It is therefore correct that our 6th Republican president should be buried in Zambia with full honors and not in any other nation. In the meantime, we urge our citizens to maintain calm and orderliness. As we have stated before,
and he is very angry. That's why he's shaking his head like this. He's trying to, this is happening subconscious. The nodding of the head. Every point he's nodding the head. Like he's angry, but he is there.
During this difficult time, no amount of lawlessness will be tolerated.
So we can see the touch, the haptics, the kinesics, and the oculesics, and the physical appearances that he's using, like the haptics, touch and the voice, body movement and gestures, facial expressions, eye and face behavior, and physical appearance. I'm going to repeat it with the audio muted, and I'm going to put it on close up. Then I'm going to add a soundtrack. Let me put a different feel sound. So in psychology, this is what we call a head nod or emphatic head nod. Like a person is speaking, it may indicate conviction, excitement, superiority, and sometimes anger or rage. Or to show rejection, or sometimes show that they are speaking their mind, they are in agreement with what they are saying. Or also, it can be to get a point through using visual and vocal cues, like we see him pitching there. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, time will tell what happens next. With that, I'm going to sign out. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who was watching us live. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe to TV7 Live if you have not yet already done so. If you're not going to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, please just click the like button. It helps boost my morale so that I can improve on my videos. Give you guys good people, good content. Before we sign out, just click the like button. Thank you once again for watching TV7 Live Zimbabwe, Africa, under the state of the kingdom of God. Be good, do good. Be the hand of God and be the mouth of God. What good is being good for if it is not for being good? Being good is done by doing it. Dr. Clarence, aka